Hello, Western Oregon sports fans, and welcome to this edition of Wolves Weekly. Joining me again this week, we had head women's basketball coach Greg Bruce. Thanks for coming on again, Coach.
My pleasure, Danny. Good to be here.
Good. Last week we were able to talk a little bit about you being halfway through the GNAC season, but really, you look at the schedule right now, you guys only have a little bit, about over a month left this season, about 5 weeks left. I can't believe how quick it goes.
It does, Danny. Maybe when you're on the outside looking in, it seems quick. When you're on the inside looking out, it doesn't seem so quick. But unfortunately, the schedule makers that be, the powers that be, they forced us to play these last 8 games in 19 days based on the fact that Western Washington's on a GNAC television game this Wednesday against Seattle Pacific. So it's going to be interesting how we handle all this.
And as you mentioned right there, Western Washington will play on FSN on Wednesday, but then they'll have a game at St. Martin's on Saturday, and then they'll actually uniquely come to here at Western Oregon on a Monday game. I've been around for a couple years now. I've not ever seen this Saturday, Monday slate feel like we're in the Big East or something.
Yeah, we're not really looking forward to it, but it's kind of what they had to do, I guess, with the television situation there. Usually that's Division I teams that get bumped around because of TV. So normally our Thursday, Saturday would have been Western Washington, Simon Fraser, but because of television, we play Simon Fraser on Saturday, as we would have, but the Western Washington game gets pushed back to Monday, and then we have to get on a plane on Wednesday and fly to Alaska and play them on Thursday and Saturday, which gives us 4 games in 7 days.
And to me, that's kind of unique about this whole thing. It feels like you guys haven't played very much. I mean, we're in the middle of a season. We talk about how the season's long but short all at the same time. And you guys, it feels like we haven't talked forever. You were talking about Montana State Billings 2 weeks ago, kind of one game. I mean, look how short my scripts are now. We got half a page basically out of it. It's
yeah,
the uniqueness.
We have this stretch now. You know, they moved, because of the conference tournament, they moved 2 games before Christmas. So we had those 2 games in early December, which everybody kind of forgets about. Okay. Then we came back after Christmas, and because St. Martin's our travel partner, that was our first game. So basically we only had 1 game that week after Christmas. So that seems like you're not playing. Then we have a normal progression for 3 weeks where we play everybody twice, or Thursday, Saturdays. Then we have our travel partner again, which was St. Martin's this past Saturday. Well, in that stretch, we have 13 days where we only play the 1 St. Martin's game. Now we impact it with the 8 games in 19 days to finish out the conference season. So they kind of got us between a rock and a hard spot there, but we're just going to have to fight through and do the best we can.
And talk to me a little bit about St. Martin's team, the uniqueness that when you guys played a month before, then they came back in, and you guys, I'm not saying you caught them when they were down before or something, but unfortunately you definitely caught them when they were hot this time.
Well, there's no question, Danny. They played their best basketball of the year. They had beaten Anchorage at home. They went to Seattle Pacific and beat them. They lost on a Hail Mary 3 at Billings for their only loss in their last 6 games. they were definitely on a run. They're shooting the ball extremely well. They're very confident in what they do. They play very good team defense, which hurt us on Saturday. We weren't able to do offensively what we should have been able to do. And I give that to St. Martin's. The way they attacked us and approached it on their game plan was very good.
And they did do a very good job. They really got out of those passing lanes and forced a couple extra turnovers. Just made everything a little tougher to run the offense and stuff.
And they pack it in, and you know we're trying to get the ball to Riley Peterson as often as possible, and they try to take her away, and that hurts us. And then you got to be able to shoot the ball from the perimeter, and we didn't do that so well.
Well, I'd like to hear a little bit about that part about St. Martin's. I'm going to have a couple follow-up ones, but what I really want to know as we talk about the second half of the season, just in this round-robin type of schedule, what do you have to do? What kind of adjustments there are? What challenges you as a coach and a team do you guys face having to play a team twice?
Well, I think it's to have them play them twice is not unusual. It's kind of when you play them and how long ago has it been since you played them the previous time. And you have to go back through film and you got to see what they're doing different, because everybody makes subtle changes as the season moves on. And sometimes those subtle changes, you make one on top of the other, they become greater when the amount of days between the games are apart. So we're going to have to do that this week to get ready for Simon Fraser and obviously Western Washington on Monday. And then, we play the last 2 games, we play Northwest Nazarene and Central, which we played back on December 2nd and 4th. So they may have a whole new team and a whole new approach out there when we get time to play them.
Well, I wanted to ask you just really quick, because I'm kind of interested in this one about the St. Martin's one. Do you even look at their film from November 22nd then?
It was actually December 29th we played them.
But when they were here, like...
Oh, I know what you're saying now, in the tournament. No, we don't watch that so much. We watched, how they played their last weekend against Billings and Seattle Pacific, and then maybe even the Anchorage game a little bit we watch, and then go back to what they did against us and try to put all that together and come up with the different little massages that we need to make in our a challenge in our approach to for the game plan.
Obviously, your team's played very well this season. Have a good opportunity to get good seed in the GNAC tournament and everything else like that. But I want to ask you a little bit, and I don't want to focus this on this Western Oregon team, but what does fatigue do with this second stretch of the season? They're back in school, maybe they don't have the Christmas break to kind of just play basketball, but they're having to be student athletes at this time.
Yeah, it's, all basketball players have to go through that. Basketball is the only sport, maybe indoor track and field, where you overlap both quarters or both semesters. You're finishing finals when you're starting basketball. You're starting up the new quarter when you're continuing basketball, getting ready for a whole new set of finals after basketball is over. So it's always a challenge. But, that's part of the deal. You just have to make sure you're getting the most out of your practices. You have to cut them down a little bit in time. You try to make more quality over quantity and try to keep your athletes as fresh as you can in terms of leg strength and being able to run up and down the floor.
Well, fantastic. Well, I know you guys are practicing hard, as you mentioned. Having to get that work in there while you prepare for these games. But actually, even if you mentioned these 8 games in 19 days, the one fortunate thing I will think a little bit, you get to start these next 2 are at home to conclude a 3-game homestand. You guys will be at home against Simon Fraser, a team, as we mentioned before, second time around here, on Saturday at 2 o'clock, which will also be John Kerry night, where Western Oregon will honor the 17-year athletic director who is retiring.
Also the former women's basketball coach.
Also the former women's basketball coach. Thank you, Coach Bruce. John Kerry did lead the women's team to the NAI finals in 1994 and then left some of the players, and the following coach was able to win 2 championships. So he's done a lot for this university, and just an opportunity for Western Oregon to honor him. And
I think it's great that we're doing this. I really do. John Kerry is Western Oregon women's basketball. I mean, he's the one that really put it on the map back in the day. I was coaching at Portland State, and we used to play him once a year at non-conference game. And John's teams were always really competitive, and he had some really good players, and they were fantastic at the NAIA level. And then he turned the program over to Rusty Rogers, who kind of took it to the next level while he became the athletic director. And he's responsible for hiring me and bringing me to Western Oregon. So I really appreciate that. But it's nice that we're giving back to John, because he's given an awful lot to this university.
Thank you. And I hear that there should be a great time. We have former players come back, some of his former assistants, other administrative staff, and I hear the student athletes have a couple surprises out there for John as well, which will always be a fun thing. That's, to me, one of the highest compliments, when the student athletes still love you going out, which speaks to what John's done here at Western Oregon.
No question. No, I mean, he had the very tough, he had to take us from NAIA to Division II in athletics as the athletic director without very much help, to be honest, and support staff and what I mean. And for him to be able to do that and to get us going in the right direction says a lot about him as a person and his just what he believes in, his loyalty to this university.
Well, we hope fans come out then on Saturday, February 5th at 2 o'clock to both support John Kerry, but also support the Western Oregon women's basketball team. And I'd like to hear a little bit about, you've seen Simon Fraser now, tell me a little bit about what their game is.
They have their center, and I go by numbers instead of names. I'm sorry, she's number 8, but you say number 8, they can't have that in basketball. They play in Canada, so they can for this year, I guess, but she's a very good player. She may be the best center in our league in terms of offensive skills, and you'll see that on display. She can shoot from inside and out. She's a great athlete. She's just a very good player. And their guards now are starting to come around a little bit. Early in the year, they weren't shooting the 3 very well. We played them the first time, but they've since caught fire. And number 6 and number 10 are both very competent 3-point shooters. They've won 2 games in a row. They had a 15-point lead at Northwest Nazarene in the first half before they ended up losing that game last Saturday. So they're a little more confident as a basketball team than they were when we played them the first time.
Well, fantastic. And then you guys have to face Western Washington on that Monday. They are leading the GNAC right now.
Yeah, haven't been beaten yet, and I don't know if they're ranked 8th or 10th or where they are in the national poll, but they're up there. It's funny. Last year I thought Western had the best talent, but not necessarily the best team. They didn't really play all that well together at times. This year, I think their talent might be down a little bit, but they are playing extremely well together. Amanda Dunbar is back as a senior, great 3-point shooter on the wing. They've got Megan Pinsky, the point guard, who, I think she's the best point guard in the league. Heflin, their center, is ranked in the top 10 in field goal percentage in the nation this year. She's really come on. So they don't have a lot of weaknesses. They play hard, they play together, and they've got some very good players.
Well, fantastic. Well, Coach, fans out there will have the opportunity to watch both these teams coming into Western Oregon this weekend. It'll be Simon Fraser here on Saturday at 2 o'clock, and then Western Washington on Monday. Remember, tickets are still available for both these. You can order those tickets by calling the number on your screen or by purchasing them at the door. So, Coach, I just want to say thank you very much for joining me on this edition of Wolves Weekly, and thank you all for watching.